I think we're almost at like 8.4 million on Instagram. And it's funny, like we don't, like, I'm trying to think of like the numbers, because we on our team, we talk about like overperforming content and underperforming content, but we never celebrate when he hits 9 million on Instagram or whatever. We never celebrate 2 million. Like somebody will sometimes put it in the thread, like, oh, you just hit this number. And like, Gary will either not respond, or he'll just be like, you know, like some message, like keep moving, like, you know, don't celebrate the, you know, like he just doesn't celebrate, because he knows like he's 10% into what he believes like is, you know, hit the game of this.
This is the We Make Success Happen podcast.
This is the We Make Success Happen podcast with Matt Callanan.
This next one is an amazing video I was sent about a guy called Matt Callanan.
An amazing and inspiring soul who goes by the name of Matt Callanan.
This is the We Make Success Happen podcast with Matt Callanan.
Hello and welcome to We Make Success Happen podcast. Today, with amazing human, Jason Morena. Hello.
What's going on? How are we doing?
Now, you are live in New York and I'm here in rainy Cardiff in Wales. Right. So I saw a quote from you recently that said, feeling grateful for a job that pays me to create and spread positivity. Do you want to explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that tweet came at mid-edit. I think I was making a recent mashup that I don't think's posted yet. I think we're pitching it tonight. I can explain what that means later on, but I was making a mashup for Gary. Gary's my boss. You know, if you don't follow Gary Vee, you should follow Gary Vee. Very awesome dude, individual, posts a lot of different kind of content, entrepreneur stuff, motivation stuff. But in the moment I was editing content for him, so I work on his team. And it's just like interesting. Like, I don't know, I worked a handful of jobs, and you know, I think I was actually thinking about my past job, which was during college. I was working as an insurance agent, and you know, when you work for insurance, you're just, you know, it's kind of like fear-based selling. You know, I mean, you don't word it like that. You don't like convince people, but that's really what it is. You know, just like, God forbid your car gets smashed. Like, this is why you buy this. But you know, I get paid to, you know, right now sit at home and cook up this content that's motivational, and really like the goal is, you know, make this piece of content go viral because it's helping someone. And yeah, I wrote that tweet just out of like, just, you know, pure gratitude of like, I get paid to make Instagram clips that hopefully go viral to hopefully help someone. And then like, I don't know, I think I was reading comments too. It's just like, as an editor, like, and especially when you work for someone like with Gary, who was so much like followership, like you can't read every comment, you can't see like what it's actually doing. And yeah, it's just like, it's pretty unique. And I always call it like a 1% job to be able to like just make videos in this genre.
Yeah, that's pretty cool job. Do you want to give a little kind of background on how you came about to be now in that position with Gary Vaynerchuk?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's a little long-winded, but I'll hopefully break it down in like the next 60 seconds. But you know, I was going to college, and I was, you know, I got a GoPro at one point. My aunt sent me a GoPro. I wasn't filming anything. I was going hiking. That's what happened. I was hiking in college, and my aunt was like, "Oh, I want to send you a GoPro. It seems like you're filming a lot on your phone." And I'm like, "No, don't spend $400. Blah blah blah." But she ends up sending it, and I end up making hiking mashup videos, and then I got a drone. So then I had that, and then I started following Casey Neistat, because this is like 2016, 15,
Casey's
2015.
ace, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
He's brilliant.
And I mean, I'm wearing a sweatshirt, so I like him a lot.
Is this an endorsement?
Should be
Paid endorsement.
You could say I like him a little bit, but yeah, I'm making these hiking videos. I have the GoPro, I have the drone, I end up following Casey, and I end up getting a credit card so I could afford an 80D, which was the Canon 80D was the camera he was using at the time. And I wasn't thinking that I was gonna like fall into the career path of video, but I just knew that like I enjoyed making videos. Like I had made some in the past, like, you know, in high school and stuff, but it never was across my mind where it was like, I want to shoot weddings or, you know, work as a vlogger. And so, yeah, I have this GoPro, I have a drone, I have the 80D, and it just kind of kept snowballing. And I was picking up a few freelance clients, like as I'm in college now, and I'm working in insurance, and then I'm making a few dollars doing this video thing. And I still don't think it's going to be a career, but it happened really quick. And, the long story short, I get tagged in a Facebook post. It was a gentleman who owned a kickboxing gym, and he was looking for a video internship guy. And his name's Ed Turney. And we ended up meeting, and he ended up hiring me, for a very, very low cost, because, I didn't have too much to offer. I wasn't like a professional by any means, I was just learning my stuff, and it was perfect opportunity, like he was willing to, work with me and, give me a job, like whatever. And so he was like, hey, you follow Gary Vee? This was in 2016. And I was like, no, I don't know who Gary Vee is. He's like, you should follow him. He's like, and he was like, I want to do this daily V thing where, you vlog and document, he vlogs and documents himself. And he's like, I want to do it for my gym. I want you to document the employees, the going, what goes on here. And I want you to make an episode like every week for me. He barely could explain what it was. And I didn't really know what that meant. I was like, yeah, I can make a blog for you. Like, I'm like, I follow Casey. I'm like, I could probably pull something. And I did. And I learned. And, we probably did like, I think only, we did 4 episodes. And then he was like, hey, like, do you want to come to VaynerMedia with me? And I was like, sure, because and by this point I'm following Gary. I'm obsessed with the Daily V. I'm like, wow, like this dude has a dude that follows him around, like, and they're flying to like London and stuff. Like that's incredible. And so I was, a big fan of D-Rock way back in the day, a big fan of Babin, big fan of Gary himself. And so I got invited to VaynerMedia with him because he bought the first ticket to Gary's consulting session at the 4Ds, they call it. And so it was like April.
What are the 4Ds anyway?
The 4Ds, they changed it. It was originally the Daily Digital Deep Dive. Right, okay. And now it's the Daily.
Is it
Discovery.
5Ds or something?
Yeah, something. I don't know. They changed it. It's actually better now. But anyways, I go to VaynerMedia, with this, with the guy that hired me, Ed. I meet Gary, I meet D-Rock, and once I was in there, I was like, damn, I gotta work here. Like, I was like, this is crazy. This is awesome. Because it's just, it's in like Hudson Yards in New York City. If you don't know what Hudson Yards is, basically like, I don't know, some futuristic, like, I don't know. It was just dope to be there as a young creative. And so I applied like right then and there, like sent D-Rock an email like that night. I was like, yo, I want to work here. I actually have someone from
so what, you kind of like met some of the key people like D-Rock and
met D-Rock. Didn't see Babin at the time. D-Rock came in, and I thought that I fangirled a little bit probably, and I was like, yo, how do I work here one day? Like, how does someone like me get in here? And he's like, here's my email. And I was like, oh shit. And I didn't realize you'd be that like open to that. And I sent him my portfolio at the time, which was like 4.5 videos, and I didn't get a response back. Yeah. So that was that. And so then I just stayed in the course. I worked with this guy, Ed, which evolved where, I graduated from college with a degree that I'll never use. And then I quit State Farm, which was the insurance company I was working at. And then Ed hired me full time. And by then I like really had learned my stuff. That was about a year later when I got hired full time with this gentleman. And this is obviously super long winded. I shouldn't have went this in depth.
Is this the kickboxing guy?
This is the kickboxing guy.
Did he mind that you were kind of trying to get into VaynerMedia then?
No, because that was his whole thing, was like, he said like, you're gonna work at VaynerMedia one day, but he's like, that's the only, like, if you're gonna leave me, that's the only place you can go. And so
that's a good boss.
Yeah. And, I just had a conversation with him like last night, and he's like, he's very stern. He's like, you never leave Gary. Like, you never leave Gary's spot, and, he keeps me accountable to that. But long story short, I worked for the kickboxing gym. I ended up sort of vlogging Ed. We made 70 episodes. He ended up getting like speaking like engagements based on the vlog. We didn't know it was going to happen. I learned my shit. And then basically I got hired because another gentleman went to a 4D session, brought up my name. I was already kind of in the 4Ds ecosystem, and Serendipity, Gary basically on camera as a joke said like, I want to hire this kid, Jason. And I saw the video because it got published on YouTube. And that's kind of how I got in. I was around the environment. I fucking learned my shit. And then I got serendipity to the moment. Somebody brought up my name in a meeting that was filmed to put on YouTube, and then somebody like relayed the information to me. And then, on a Friday, I was working for Ed, and on Monday I was working for Gary.
I like
I gotta like narrow the story down.
No, that's good. Yeah, I talk a lot about, just putting yourself in the arena and, coincidence and serendipity. I actually had serendipity down here before I spoke to you, because I'm a really big believer in, the energy and, some people say the law of attraction and all this kind of stuff. But actually, by putting yourself out there and actually making yourself kind of known and available, that's when exciting opportunities happen to you.
I really believe in that. You're 1,000% right. I think I was watching it was Scooter Braun and Gary Vee, and he was talking about it's like a viral. It was right before a very viral moment where this girl gets like this huge opportunity, and Scooter was talking about how like his buddies has worked as that his friends have worked as hard as he has, but first he believes that like there's like that serendipitous moment where like really good things can happen to you, and like it's gonna happen to anyone, but you just like have to put yourself out there, and that's what happened to him. Like he's like, all my buddies worked as hard as I did. He's like, I just had this one serendipitous moment. I don't know what it was, but it elevated his career. And I agree, like talking to more people, doing more podcasts, making more content, you're gonna have that serendipity moment, just because you had more at bats, or there was just more chances for that to happen. So yeah.
Do you want to, just for maybe like the 3% of the world that don't know about Gary Vee and Vaynermedia, do you want to just give us a quick lowdown on who he is and what you do
Totally.
at Vaynermedia?
Smart question, because I'm probably going to keep mentioning him. Gary was he was famous off like wine content in the early 2000s, 2006, 2007. He started putting out wine content that built him a huge Twitter following. He was like, I don't know, like of the first people with a million followers on Twitter. And then so he pivoted out of the wine business, and then he started doing a little investing, and then he opened up Vaynermedia, and then he grew Vaynermedia like really quick. It's like, I don't know, within like 4 or 5 years, it was doing like 100 million, and it's a it's a modern digital media agency. And they do all the ads and creative and strategy for huge companies like Budweiser and Chase and Sour Patch Kids and Kool-Aid, and I don't even know, like a lot of relevant companies. And so they do that. It's like 1,000 people right now. It's global. It's in London, Singapore, New York, California, and then alongside that, so that's what he's doing. 95% of his day, he's building this giant company. And a whole lot of other companies too. And but he also has a team around him, and I work on his team because he still went on to do a lot of public speaking and podcasts and vlogs, and he's got about, I think, like roughly 30 people on his team, not all creatives, a lot of strategists, a lot of just assistants and such. And we help produce and ideate and make content for him, because he's got a few followers.
Just a few. And we're not talking thousands, are we? We're talking millions and millions.
Yeah, he's I think we're almost at like 8.4 million on Instagram. And it's funny, like we don't, like, I'm trying to think of like the numbers, because we on our team, we talk about like overperforming content and underperforming content, but we never celebrate when he hits 9 million on Instagram or whatever. We never celebrate 2 million. Like somebody will sometimes put it in the thread, like, oh, you just hit this number, and like Gary will either not respond, or he'll just be like, like some message like, keep moving, like, don't celebrate the, like he just doesn't celebrate, because he knows like he's 10% into what he believes like is, hit the game of this.
Yeah. So what is a good performing piece of content then, from something that you produce, or what is like an overperforming piece of content?
In a numbers sense, overperforming would be like on Instagram, which is what I'm talking about, would be like on Gary's account, we probably consider overperforming anything over 1 million views. I'd say that like that's probably the benchmark of like overperforming or not. But I would say outside of the numbers world, like overperforming could mean like, I don't know, like it wouldn't be good if like the piece was doing really well based on like like a controversy, like if Gary said something like that wasn't cool, like it just didn't like it didn't I don't know, it just didn't feel right, but then it like caught the attention. Like we've had pieces of content where like he might have said something that like went the wrong way and then it went viral because like for the wrong reasons. Like I don't know, it still overperformed numerically, but like it underperformed in terms of like giving value and like helping people, you know. Yeah, so yeah, we think a lot about how the content does. Like I'll give a little breakdown of like why I'm even bringing up underperforming, overperforming is when we make Instagram content for Gary, I'll chop it up. You know, my team will be like, hey, here's a good clip, here's a good title idea. I'll go in creatively, I'll make it the best I can. I'll ideate with like somebody on my Instagram team, and then we post it on this Gary V at Gary V TV. It's like it used to be Join Team Gary V, where you could like submit content, get on the team, but we're posting stuff on there to get a pulse to see if that content's gonna do well, and then we can see based on like that page's benchmark, you know, if it's worthy to post, you know, on the main channel, and then those videos get pitched to Gary, and we'll let him know, hey, we just posted 3 videos yesterday. These 2 did good, this one did bad. We'll give them all to him because he might like the bad one, and that gauges like kind of like, you know, when we know something's gonna work or whatnot. So there's a little science behind like when we make something, and then get it going to Gary.
Because there was one film that I think pretty sure you were involved with, which was How to Build the Tallest Building.
Yeah,
I think that was one of my favorite of Gary's films of recent times, just because I run a kindness project called We Make Good Happen over here in the UK, and it just really kind of struck a chord with me. But I think the beauty was the way it was kind of edited together. It was really kind of cinematic, you know, it kind of really kind of pulled you in. So I am correct, you were.
I was, yeah.
that,
I had, yeah, I would
God.
say like, right, you know, like, no, that was Dustin. No, yeah, no, that was me. I edited that. Me and D-Rock, you know, I'm gonna take a little more ownership just because I was, you know, the man behind it, editing, you know, ideating it, but you know, a lot of strategy, a lot of rough cuts, like, you know, going to D-Rock and whatnot. But yeah, do you want to go like me to talk about like a little behind the scenes of that film, or where were you headed with that?
Yeah. Do you want to give the lowdown for someone that hasn't seen it? And because what I will do when this goes out, I'll obviously tag that video in as well in the show notes.
Yeah, I believe I don't know what we titled on YouTube, but basically it's, you know, how to build the tallest building is the name of the film or the theme, and it's Gary's. I don't know if it's actually his quote. Might be, but basically it's like, you know, he talks about there's 2 ways to build the tallest building. You can either, you know, build a, you know, a semi-big building and tear everyone else down, or you can build your own by yourself, and that basically is a metaphor of just like being a kind person and not like, you know, you can be, you know, like a, you know, Gary talks about like being a crazy awesome entrepreneur, but you can be a good person too. And yeah, I mean, like Gary put it in the thread. We have a group chat, and I guess maybe he was watching a current, like a new piece of content, whatever. He got a pulse. He put it in our group chat. He's like, hey, I want to do a whole film on this. And I was on the YouTube team at the time because we're broken into different platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and I was signed to it. And I usually make the short films as it is, so it was gonna land on my plate no matter what. And yeah, like it was the first film since like I think it was called like How to Make a Decision. So I don't know, I went in and I don't know, like I'm trying to figure out like behind the scenes of like editing it, but just like sourced a lot of clips of Gary talking about this, worked with D-Rock. He's kind of our creative director. You know, he was, you know, originally started filming Gary, and now he's kind of, you know, laddered up. He's not doing much as the making anymore. He's more of brains and strategy. But yeah, I mean, that film was probably one of my favorite pieces to make, just because it was a little more cinematic. I talked about it with Gary. You know, I was hoping, you know, I always wish it could be a little more high res, but you know, when you're working with like refurbished content from the internet, it's like, you know, hard to get like, you know, beautiful 4K images from him. You know, we have no server access really right now, so it's really hard to like even pull like raw footage. So yeah. So with the How to Build the Tallest Building film, which you say was about 6-7 minutes, how long did that actually take to like
edit and finish, and for people that don't understand or come from that kind of video background?
Yeah, right. I mean, like, sounds small, 6 minutes or so. You think like you just finish that out in a day. It took like 3 weeks to a month to get that all wrapped up. And speaking of
Wow.
like, and when it comes to like films and stuff, that's like pretty quick. Like, and the thing is, we actually don't really ever take that long. So this was the first film, I think, where the first project with Gary, where I really had like a thoughtful amount of time where I could really sit and work on this thing. And I wish it was fresh in my mind, because like I had so many like thoughts and like, I don't know, like schematics and like just storyboarding of this video. But it all just starts with like sourcing the clips, and then just like ideating, like, what is the message you want to get across? Like, one thing we talk about, like me and my manager, we're just talking about it earlier today, is like the why behind like all our content.
Yeah.
Because we're always post producing like the how, like this is how you do it. But, like, why are we making this?
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about that more, because I'm just good at like making the video, but I'm not really thinking of like the theories behind it, like why am I making this, like, and I've been a little bit more thoughtful of that lately, of just like, why am I putting this clip in? Like, I know it sounds good, but like, I don't know. I'm trying to find more purpose, like between the cuts, and not just like natural ability to like story tell, a little more like science behind it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that is I spend like on my podcasting course, my first lesson is all to do with the why. Like, why are you making a podcast? Why are you going to be talking about this? What value are you giving? What's the purpose of it? Otherwise, you're just spending time and putting out content that may or may not resonate with someone. So it's just like really, and I think it's more valuable, even if you can spend more time and just dig into that why and go, what is the reasoning behind this? Why are we doing this? Like you were kind of saying.
Yeah. And it was cool when we made that, we actually, it was right. Right. We were, as I was making it, there was a lot of stuff politically going on in the United States. And we did a few Zoom interviews with Gary to get more content for it. Because most of the content of this film was just like past keynotes, past interviews. When I'm making these short films, like, people don't understand, like, I gotta like give a little more context. This short film is just a mashup of clips. It's, Gary at a keynote, Gary on a podcast, Gary in 2016, Gary in 2020. It's a whole mashup of just one thought. And that's where everything's sourced from. And then I interview him a little bit just so I get like a little more juice for it. And when I say interview, I got 7 minutes with him, once or twice. Gary's a busy dude. He's got a packed itinerary. His days, are from 7:30 to 11 at night with 5-minute meetings all the way through, no lunch, no dinner. Like, dude works like incredibly, and it's not all just content stuff. Like, he might give the team like 15 minutes in that whole day, because he's a businessman, he's operating. And but when we set out to make this film, like, it was during a little the political frenzy going on in the United States, and obviously we're still seeing that, but it was right at like the dawn of like some serious stuff going on. And in the beginning of the intro, I had like it a little more orientated towards like that political side. He kind of like briefed it a little bit, but 3 weeks later, when you go to post it, things got really, really heated. Like, we had to cut, I would say a decent amount, but we had to cut some stuff out, because you just say you say one wrong thing, one wrong adjective, and that can cause some shit. And so it was a fun film to make. It was, because it wasn't like the classic, like, rah rah, be happy, da da da. It's a cool message. And the whole thing is like, I don't want to be redundant with like, build the tallest building. Like, there's only so many like ways to say that, but it was fun to like find like subgenres to tackle in it. And yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great film. It's really well produced and put together. And it's sort of emotional as well. And I think that's the clever bit. If you can move someone emotionally through visual, sound, and audio, that's job done.
Yeah, I mean, it ain't easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
The first edit, the first rough cut, is nothing like what it looked like at the end, and it's never finished in my head. Like, could always keep working on it, even though I had 3 weeks, which is a very long time to work on something. The longest I've had something on Gary's team is usually a week, which is a weekly, with the weekly VEE. That was like my thing, and but this one was the first time where I had 3 weeks to be thoughtful on it. And I don't know, I think it was funny, like, having a lot of time was kind of like not good, makes you overthink, makes you like want to like get more, makes you like be perfectionist about it. Like there's something like beautiful about like why the daily view is good and why the weekly view is good is because I don't know, people overthink like everything, like the cropping and the size of the text and like the transitions and like audio and listen, that's all fine and good, but I don't know, I think there's beauty in like just having a little imperfection in it. And that's kind of like why I've been, you know, I know you're gonna bring it up, why I've started like that like 123 project. It's like a lot of imperfection in that video. You know, I'm trying to only make videos in an hour and 23-minute time period. So there's something about that.
Yeah, because I was thinking about perfectionism there. And, you know, as a creative, like I spent my 20s just making music and producing music. And it came to a point where I had to be about 80 to 90% happy to put a tune out, because as a creative, you're never, ever going to be 100% happy with something. Or making films, I've never been 100% happy, because you'll see something or hear something and go, should I change that? Or, you know, I could have just
For real.
done that.
And so, when you post it, you know, you post it and you look at it and you're like, damn, like, should I just delete it and like go edit it again, like post it again, you know? I was thinking about
obviously
like,
most people won't even notice that kind of thing. So do you want to talk about what it was? I think it was perfectionism that kind of led you to doing this 123 project. Do you want to sort of talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, I make so
or
much
not
content.
Aiming for perfectionism, I guess, isn't it?
Right. I make so much content for Gary, and I've just been trying to make more of my own stuff, like, you know, the stuff that got me here. Like, you know, I love making videos, and you know, I want to do more. You know, I like shooting cars and whatnot, not just motivational stuff and Gary stuff. So I fell into like very like perfectionist mindset where, like, I don't know, when you start like hanging with the Babbins and the D-Rocks and looking up to Peter McKinnon and Casey Neistat, you want to make stuff like that. But, you know, truth be told, like, I'm not as good as, you know, Peter McKinnon. So my stuff, you know, when I edit it, it's not going to look like that always. And that was the case. Like, I just fell into a rut of wanting it to look like something, and then it didn't. So I wouldn't want to post it, or I'd think that I would need, you know, 4 days editing time to make something really, really good. And so then I wasn't making anything for myself, and that sucked. And I wanted to more. So I came to this idea of making a video with the time constraint of having an hour and 23 minutes to make it. And so far I made 2, and I got 1 sitting on my timeline right now. I'm about to post, and it's fun. Like, and it's funny. Like the first one I did in an hour and 23 minutes, but the second one I didn't. You know, I took like 3 hours, but like I wanted to. Like, it was funny. Like I was gonna stop, but I was like, I'm gonna defeat the purpose of the whole project. I'm like, fuck it. And then same thing with this one. Like I've spent like 4 hours on it. So it really, yeah, like it's 123, like hour and 23 minutes to make something. Like that's really like what I'm trying to do. But I don't care. Like there's no rules to video making. It's just a gateway to like for me to make more. So far it was like, hey, this is the time constraint, and it helped. But now it's just a gateway. And I think some like more videos, hopefully I'll stick to like the plan of like the theme of the video. But so far I'm 2 strikes.
It's cool. I like it. It's nice little project. So what would you say to someone, either from like what you've done yourself or what you've seen with Vaynermedia and Gary V? What would you say to someone that would help them raise their profile? They may not be a creative, but just to get attention or get seen, or
we're talking more of like a real estate
arena.
Anyone. It could be like a real estate person. It could be a motivational speaker. It could be like somebody that like makes, I don't know, jams. It could be anyone. Right?
Yeah, I think anyone. Yeah, because do you think there's similar techniques then that, you know, from any kind of sector
I think
could apply?
Yeah, I think like there's specific things to like specific genres, but I think as all, you know, everyone, I think volume of content, you know, we'll start there. Like posting a lot of content is a good idea. And I think within that, like posting a lot of not the same thing, like trying new stuff, because then you'll find out like what works for your own audience. So basically start there, post more. And obviously you're going to say like, I don't know what to post. Like, I don't know, if you're a yoga teacher, right? I mean, there's a million things you could do. You could like go more like tutorial based. This is how you do it. You can go more of like helping someone out. Like, this is what I have to offer, so I'm going to give you this. Like, I'm going to do some meditation or whatever. And I would taste different platforms. Like LinkedIn is like a completely different world. So yeah, I'm going to say volume content, you know, because that, and you're gonna find out what works, what people like more, which necessarily isn't always the best way, because then the ego plays into it. Then you start posting content that people like just like. But let's get more tactical. Let's like actually think about this. I mean, right now TikTok's crazy. It's not as crazy as it was like a year ago. Like but I still think you can, like, if you went hard on TikTok, like truly hard, 4 hours a day, thoughtful energy, making content, consuming it, seeing what trends work, whatnot. That point, like you'll have a viral video, and like that could really elevate your personal brand. So just being aware of like what's working right now. Like most people just think like, you know, go on Instagram, make some like beautiful like photo posts. Like that's not really gonna like build your brand. Like you should be aware, you should be aware of like what platforms are working. Like if you really want to like, you know, build some leverage, like that's a gateway, you know, TikTok is. And then honestly, like building out a team, like it's really hard to do, but if you can find some like hungry people for you, because if you're like, oh, like I'm a yoga teacher, but I don't know how to make content, like maybe you have a friend that like loves making content, like that's at a hobbyist level, or like maybe like you could pay them like, I don't know, minimal amount of dollars to help you out. Like I think having a little structure and like your content creation is big, because that's the first step, right? Like if you're gonna build a brand, like you gotta have like content, and most people don't know, and that's not the answer. Like this question, like that's one answer, but like you could do it all on your phone. Like there's tons of apps and ways to do it, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of answers, honestly. Like I think it's just like comes down to like how consistent you are. I think consistency is like honestly like that's how you build your brand. Because
So
like
volume of content and consistency then.
I think so. You know, like I'm more like the creative, and like it's so funny. Like when you're like you say the questions, like I feel like I have a million answers, but it's hard to pinpoint like exactly what it is. And but really, it's like consistency. It's like, you know, post every day on TikTok, and then learn from your like your viewers. Like read the comments, which ones are overperforming. You know, learn like what a better thumbnail is. Like, you know, just I don't know, learning the platforms. And I don't know. I'm gonna stick with consistency. That's definitely the key. Because like if you keep posting, you're gonna get better. Like that's how I got good at videos. Like I kept using my camera every day, and I kept making videos every day and vlogs, and then Gary, you know, like yeah.
So what would you say is one of your biggest learnings, Jason?
Biggest learnings. In
So
what
it could
sense?
be either from something that's gone really well, or when something's completely kind of ballsed up. Because when I'm sort of doing my teaching, I say basically it's in those kind of like those real highs or real lows that you have pivot points and learnings and stories and breakthroughs and all this kind of stuff.
I think learning about, you can run through. This is the girlfriend, everyone. Woo! No.
Hello.
I think biggest, she was saying earlier too, she's like, I don't want to have to run through. And biggest learning is I think learning what like subjective quality, like even what that means, like your subjective opinion of like what quality is. That was like my biggest learnings, because you know, you always think it's got to be 4K, you know, beautifully framed, awesome video for it to work, for it to go viral, but not necessarily. You know, like it just might, you know, we had Gary's top performing post is him holding up a sign, and like we produced like, you know, that shot took 4 minutes, and you know, post editing, like no big deal, like it's Gary's top, you know, image. So a lot of learnings there. In terms of
what's
like,
he holding on the
realm.
sign?
I forget what it says. I just sent it out to someone again. I think it says I don't know what it says actually. I have it right in front of me though, so I'm gonna spend the next 5 seconds to pull this up because it's worth it.
Do you think does that sometimes annoy you that actually sometimes is the simplest piece of content that flies compared to something you might have spent, you know, days and days or weeks on or something?
Totally. Like the film we were talking about earlier, it probably got like 150,000 views, but I'll make a clip. You know, I made a clip today. You know, I spent probably 3 hours on it, and it'll get way more viewership. So you kind of get like, I get numb with the numbers to begin with. So we'll go with that. But it is interesting. Like I think, you know, I hold a little more value in it because I'm a creative. But I don't know. It does kind of actually just suck. Like you know, but that's just like, it's just the, like, you know, it's the market. You know, like, and it's what works. Like the film I made got probably 200,000 views on Instagram. I'll make a punchy clip, 60 seconds, I'll get like 1 million, just because it's just easier to consume. Some people don't like see, like, it's like, oh, this is a movie that's 6 minutes long, I don't want to watch this right now. Back to the sign, it says, stop giving a fuck what other people think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And that did really well.
Very well. It got like, Gary usually gets like 200,000 likes. This one got like 800,000. It was, absurd.
What's been your most meaningful film or the piece of content that you've produced?
I think series would be the weekly V, because I spent like an ungodly amount of time like making those. It was I stopped filming to make these, and I really loved like the filming aspect. Traveling with Gary and whatnot, and it wasn't like I really had even a choice. It was like, hey, like, you're the only guy really on the team that has the bandwidth to do this. And it was either there's 3 core video guys on the team at this time. It was me, D-Rock, and Caleb. And Caleb was doing all the TikTok content. D-Rock is filming, and then we're launching this new vlog. We're coming out of Daily V, where it's like 1 day's worth of footage, make a vlog. This time around, they're like, hey, we're gonna film a week's amount, and then we're gonna make weekly vlogs. And those were fun. Like, we made 10 until COVID hit. Obviously, we haven't been filming, and those are my most, like, I don't know, cherished, just because I've made like every single edit on those, and it just feels like a proper show. So production wise, those are my favorite. Emotional, trying to think. There's so many people, like, it's so hard to think, like, I've made like hundreds of pieces, like for like Instagram, and I don't want to say like an IG clip is my favorite, just because, like, I don't know, it's just so, like, back to like what we were just saying before, like the simplicity, like the, I'm the kind of guy that like loves like B-roll and stuff. Like, when I joined the team, like my first vlog had like, the silly little like crop in, like they creeped in for B-roll scenes, and like my whole team was like, whoa, like B-roll. And so I'm trying to think. I don't know. That film that we talked about is, probably one of my favorites. I'm trying to think. What would be my favorite? It's so hard to say. I don't know. I don't know what my favorite piece is, but I'm gonna say, if I gotta answer that, weekly V is like, that was my thing. I truly love like making vlogs. Like, that's kind of like really what I'm good at, because it's like all I've been doing. Like, I'm not really good at like making a commercial, but I'm getting better at like that kind of like production style stuff, with like, not being like the only person like touching it.
What does success mean to you? Because how old are you at the moment, Jason?
I'm 25. And
plenty of years yet then.
Plenty of years. And I don't know. I mean, like, success, progression. I don't have like the best answer to it. Gary will probably go off and give you some motivational thing. But I think when I think about that, I always think about like my 18-year-old self, or like, back at my first job, I worked at McDonald's and I'm making $7.25. So I think success is just like progression. Like, I look back all the time, like, I'm just like, damn, like, I have this, like, it's not the money, right? Like, but I'm like, oh wow, I have like this salary now, and like I can live in New York City, and like I'm sustainable, and like, I'm not like living at the parents' house, or it's just like progression. Like, yeah, that's what it is to me. Sure, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things, but to me, simply put, it's progression. It's looking back and like, understanding that like, your hard work's going somewhere, and like you're a healthier person and like a better person, and like you're better than you were like the day before or last year.
Yeah, I say that to a lot of people, that because that, I think there's a thing of, well, I don't know if it's natural that as humans we feel jealous, or we do this comparison thing, and it's really, that's a game you will never win if you're comparing yourself with someone else. So I always say, just compare yourself with where you were the previous year, and have you progressed?
Mm-hmm.
And it's exactly what you were saying, and that's much more healthy to see. Compare yourself to where you were last year or 2 years before, and then just think, right, actually I've progressed quite a lot, or I've progressed massively. And that's much better than looking at other people and going, oh my God, I wish I was them.
Yeah.
But I think we all fall for that, sometimes, but it's kind of recognizing it and then just reining it back in.
Comparing is poison, man. Like I deal with it a lot. That's why I stopped making a lot of content. It's like, shit, mine doesn't look like Casey Neistat, or Peter McKinnon's. Like, you just get really hard on yourself. And then, I have a buddy of mine who's, when I worked for Ed, the prior team before working for Gary, it was a younger kid than me. He was like 21 or so. And we're still really close friends, and he's a filmer, and he always looks up to me, and he's like, man, you worked with Ed for 2 years. You got the VaynerMedia. I have to do that. And I'm like, no, like that happened by like lightning strike, my friend. Like, and I don't know. I was talking about like more with him recently. Like I was more into the comparing mindset, way more last year, but I finally I'm getting to a place where it's just like, I don't know, like I'm good. Like I'm gonna like work really hard like every day, but like I don't like care if I don't become like Peter McKinnon or like have 100,000 subscribers. I just know like I'm on like the right path, and that's about it. Like I don't know. And just like, it's very simply put, like I'm just doing my own, and I don't care if like, Babin or Peter McKinnon or anyone is doing better. So
yeah, where do you want to end up then?
After?
Oh yeah, where would you like to end up? Yeah, when I think kind of, do you think that much further into the future?
Totally. I mean, like more so than ever, I'm like connecting with people in DMs where like I'm just like, geez, I'm like, I can't believe like this person's talking to me, and that's just crazy. So I think about probably working with a music artist. I think I'm gonna be with Gary for a long time. First off, like I'm gonna be with him for like a long time because like it's just a very good place, and I think I have a lot of things to learn. But I think like there's only a few things that could get me away from them. I really like the Glass Animals. They're a band from actually the UK, and
yeah, they're great.
I've talked to the drummer, Joe. I tried to get them on Tea with Gary Vee, but I've didn't get the response back to that DM. But now I want to work with them. I want to work with these are all like things, right? Chet Baker, Nick Murphy. He's another like semi-big artist. There's just like random artists like that just come to mind that like I think would be like the next step. But I don't know. Like I don't know what the next big step is, but I know like down the line like that'll happen. Like I would love like I'm really trying to aim towards like touring and vlogging and creating a team for like some music band group, whatever it may be.
Yeah, nice. Like vlogging instead of music videos, you mean?
Yeah,
doing a bit of both.
Yeah, I think a bit of both. I haven't done like any music videos, so it's probably gonna be more of like the documenting, like on the road kind of stuff. But I've been doing more like just like more like the music video type, like production style shoots. Like I shot my buddy as like this beautiful 1968 Plymouth Valiant. He put like a hell crate in it. It's like $100,000 like classic car, and actually was a little bit more thoughtful with framing and like gimbals and whatnot, and that feels more like a music video to me, and that was fun to shoot, and like versus like the run and gun vlog, throw a mic on a person, run around and like make a story out of it. It was cool to like actually like line up some shots and stuff. Yeah,
like it. Right, I'm nearly getting on to the last question now. I was just going to show you this. See if you can tell us if you can see this now. Does that come up on your screen as well?
Yes, the ladder of connection.
Right. Yeah, the ladder of connection. Yeah. So yeah, there's this thing that I teach on my course. I call it the ladder of connection. I've kind of used it to end up sort of speaking or interviewing various things. And so I've got like various different people on my kind of ultimate list of people that I'd love to have on my podcast. And so like one of the examples that I did used to have in my example was Gary. And I had this like stupid guy up this massive ladder because I say, look, you can go up slowly up the rungs, get closer to that, one of the people that you want to interview. And it's really about connecting the dots. And, quite often I'll say, situations will just happen and you'll see opportunities, and it's basically about reacting quickly. So like Babin earlier this year was saying, I'm coming over to London, and he just tweeted about it and then said, oh, do you know of any creatives that I could get on my podcast, as in his podcast?
Mhm.
And then I sort of kind of cheekily said, you know, do you mind? I'm going to be in London. Do you want to come on my podcast? Which happened. And that was a really good interview. And one of the things that I use is this like social proof, like PDF. And I have it, I say to people, just create a little social proof thing, put it favorites in your book, and then you could just react quickly. Because otherwise, you don't want to be like really far down on a thread.
Yeah.
You want to be able, you know, especially if they're online. Sometimes there are people just go, yeah, DM me. And it's kind of similar what happened to you.
Yeah.
Like you just put out a post and then
I
just
was like
said,
looking for.
yeah, you were kind of like saying, what was it? You said, oh, is there any interesting podcast I can come on or something like, or guest on?
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy Ed, and he was like, "Hey man, you should probably do more like podcasts and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, you're completely right. Like, I needed to just like start working on my brand, talking about more like stuff that I know, getting my voice out there." And then I put out the tweet, and then that aligned us. I don't know if you were already following me at that point, but
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
we connected.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was the thing that I'd been following you for a while because I kind of look at interesting people surrounding that person anyway. And I'm really into like video and creativity. And I would just follow people, anyone that kind of goes, oh, they're doing some cool stuff. I'll follow them because they'll probably provide some value or share some video content or stuff that will just, you know, bring joy to my brain and, you know, give me some extra creative to kind of look at and inspire me. And then, yeah, the what I say with this ladder of connection is just like it has to be genuine, authentic, and you know it can be doesn't have to go up in stages. And I said, look, this could be a clever way that I could end up like trying to get Gary on my podcast. And then I was saying, look,
100%.
the other thing you could do is like, is there other things that connect in? You know, so I run a kindness project, realized that Gary's really into that. And in the UK, I was at one point last year, I was #1 in the business podcast charts, above Gary as well. So I thought that's kind of like
That's awesome.
kind of a cheeky thing. Well, I think I knocked Tony Robbins off the #1 spot, which blew my mind a little bit.
That's crazy.
I was saying that, you know, then I could, because I think sometimes you've got to wait for the right time to approach, you know, do the approach. You know, me trying to go in with Gary right at the beginning, it's just too cold. You know, whereas if I can then go,
it's like a portfolio. It's like,
yeah,
you know, wanting to shoot for the glass animals. Like they probably won't work. Like they might work with me now just because I have a little like, name behind me, but you gotta work. You gotta work to get there, you know. But
exactly, yeah. And I think it just helps, doesn't it? Like just going in, you know, slightly warmer, and it's that trust thing as well. I mean, you might
100%.
turn around and say to Gary, do not speak to that English guy, that ginger English guy. Do not speak to him. He's awful.
No, it goes to show, like, you know, if you DM'd me yesterday and was like, hey, can you know, I really want to get Gary on, like, I'd be like, hey man, can't help you out. But, you know, now that we've had a conversation and you know, one day, you know, tomorrow Gary might be like, hey, I want to do more podcasts. And I'd be like,
not
this guy's great.
But yeah, then after this lesson that I did this week, I was kind of talking about this, and then someone, this woman, she's Irish, Marion Murray, she's a great student on my course, and she actually posted out about it, and I was kind of like, oh, it's kind of like preempted. I was kind of waiting for the right time, and then I was like, well, perhaps I should just go for it, because she copied in you and copied in Gary, and one of my things is that it only takes one piece of content and it can be the game changer. And Gary kind of says the same thing. And I also say it only takes one like as well, and that could be the game changer. Like, it's not about numbers. Actually, it could just be the one right person. And I was like, right, perhaps I need to do something. And then one of the things I was talking about in that lesson is the fact that the average human has only got like 8 seconds of attention span at the moment. And I was like, well, that was in 2013. It'd gone down from 12 seconds in 2000. I was like, what is it now in 2020? Is it 5 or 6? You know, is it? And obviously the goldfish is at 9 seconds. So we've got a shorter attention span than the goldfish. So I did this post straight after. This was on Thursday. I was like, I wonder if this could work, you know, try and get Gary's attention. So I did this little video. Oh yeah, I've also got one of the longest domain names in the world.
That's
because
funny.
of my half Irish surname.
I was looking at that now. Now that makes sense. I'm like, all right. I thought you just just type some keys out, but I got it.
Yeah, I got sick of people not being able to spell my surname correctly, so I registered the longest domain name in the world just to make it really super simple for them. Just to stand out as well. I'm always on about like just doing simple things just to kind of stand out and get attention. But yeah, K Swiss replied as well, which is quite good. But I'll show you the
Boom.
video and see what you think. Let's see if
Let me
I can, will it share with the volume? Let's have a look. Gary, we've only got 8 seconds of human attention. So will you come on the We Make Success Happen podcast? Because basically I wanted to talk about the addiction to K-Swiss training. And that's it. I edit it to 8 seconds.
You cut it out.
Yeah.
That's
because
funny.
I just thought, so yeah, so that's my little...
That's your go-to. Listen, man, I can't make it happen, but I can help, right? And I'm more than happy to like at least fucking tweet at Gary or something or help you down the line. I don't know. I'm always gonna, you're a great interviewer. So, if it was if this wasn't good, I wouldn't say this, but any way I can help, I'll get you there.
Yeah, cool. And also, whether it happens or not, it's all part of the process. And this becomes part of the story. And I'll include this in my next talk about that as well.
Hell yeah. Like Jason said it. No.
Yeah. Okay, so last question then, Jason.
Yes.
So imagine that all your friends and family are maybe sat on a lovely beach, looking out to the blue sky and the sun, and you've hired, and this could be your last farewell, you've hired one of those little planes that carries a message behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You can put whatever you want on there, but this could be your last kind of final words of wisdom. What would you say on there to all your friends and family?
I need a little context. Like, will they ever see me again? Like, is this the last thing they're gonna hear from me? Like, or
it could be, I think it could be the last thing they hear from you. Yeah.
The last thing they hear from me. Geez, plane, parents, girlfriends, dog sitting on the beach. They know the plane's coming. They're like, what's it say? I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with Mom, you were right.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's
I think
brilliant.
that's I'll leave it like it's a pretty like ambiguous, open-ended, but I would probably leave it at that. Mom, comma, you were right.
That's lovely. And it would make a lot of people laugh as well.
Yeah, right. Like, because like I might have like went on this, like I'm going on a road trip and like, my mom's told me like 15 different things that could go wrong. And I might like die on this road trip, but like, God forbid I had this plane set up to like come out and say, Mom, you're right. She'd be like, that'd be the greatest. I don't know.
Right. So finally then, where can people find out about you, Jason? Where's the best places?
Best is Instagram. It's my first dot, my last name, Jason.Morena, or Twitter. I think it's just Jason Morena _ Those are the best places.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
I don't have one of those fancy, phone numbers like Gary does. Where,
Not yet.
Where your whole fan base can text you.
Oh, I like the Instagram video that you did for that, where it's like that old kind of like 70s cheesy.
You know what? That's my favorite video. That's my favorite video with Gary.
That is really funny, because especially when he comes on at the end, that's brilliant. Yeah, that was a really good concept.
Yeah, it was funny. That was a collective of 4 or 5 people. We had a goal that day to make a video promoting Gary's texting phone line, and it came out perfect for a day's edit, and that is my favorite and most emotionally attached video.
Awesome. That's a perfect ending.
Perfect.
Thank you very much, Jason Morena. This has been the We Make Success Happen podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hooray!
Fuck yeah. This was awesome, man. Favorite podcast of the 2 that I've done.